Welcome to a 1 vs 1 between Dyth here in red versus DanWarior here in blue, going shield bots and a support commander for start, while Dyth is going for amp bots with a striker commander. Uh, Dyth requested this replay. He wanted to ask what you should do against rogues. Rogues are a shield bot unit. It's It has pretty long range, and it outranges the skirmishers like the boys, and it doesn't outrange the bulkhead, but it has a bit longer range. It has less range. The bulkhead has more range, but it's inaccurate, so it won't really hit rogues that much. And you can see here that Dyth is going for a pretty economic start with one duck and then one con here. This expansion is fairly safe. Like, you have the commander. If you expand here with the commander, you will see incoming enemy raiders, and will be able to respond in time. And making a raider is a good idea, because even if you're down here, you're not getting into radar shadows from like these hills or anything. So having a raider up there is pretty good. Here's the first engagement. Ducks and bandits, they trade pretty evenly, so it's about focus firing. You could see here that two bandits was able to focus fire the first duck and kill it, but they also returned fire in kind. And it looks like, yeah, DanWarior is being a little more offensive. Dyth saves his duck there instead of running it into the Lotus turret. That's pretty nice. Like, yeah, you can defend this ramp with just like 1 or 2 Lotus turrets. Or if you're quick enough, you can respond. And that's a pretty even trade, yeah. Bandits and ducks trade pretty evenly. Like, the thing that ducks has is alpha damage, so if the bandit can get in range and stay in range, it will win with just slight margins. But if you look at this, yeah, it gets out of range and it gets a few more shots off, and it's an even trade, so yeah. It's a pretty even fight. And neither of them have any really like speed advantage. Both have it's 90 elmos per second versus 90 elmos, so yeah, they're equally fast. And wind is usually the way to go here. It looks like Dyth wants some more solars to stabilize his income, because yeah, even with 0.5 minimum wind, this wind is a little unreliable, but I usually just stay with winds on this map. Excuse me. So, that was a sneeze. Let's see here. Yeah, like 3 ducks and against 3 bandits, it's an even fight. And yeah, it looks like this is a little slow here, like he's not managing to put on any pressure here. It does kill 3 ducks, 3 bandits for 1 while losing 1 duck, so that's nice. And yeah, you can see here that he's also going for an archer. An archer is a pretty good, like, it's a fast riot with 70 elmos per second, so it's a fast riot and can deal with other raiders fairly reliable. So it's like almost like a riot raider, really. Yeah, and this is just small engagements going on. Let's see, is this bandit able to run down this? Yeah, it's able to run down that duck, but it also runs into the commander, so yeah. And we can see here, both players are expanding a bit. It looks like DanWarior is going for the middle here. And he's already making rogues. That's an interesting choice. Like, it looks like DanWarior wants to try to control the middle of the map. And I guess rogues are pretty good at that, because they outrange most of the amp bots. And yeah. And ducks are kinda slow if you want to run down the rogues. Ducks are still kinda slow. And rogues aren't that slow with 58 speed, so yeah, it takes a while for ducks to run down the rogues. And you can see here the commander has to dance a bit to avoid getting hit by those rogues. And this is it's not really a dangerous position to be in, but I'm unsure what DIT is trying to make happen here. Like, he can't really make much happen here with having basically, okay, he has decent support here, so yeah. He can challenge the commander here before there's too much defenses here. Meanwhile, they're both trying to expand on this side, and it looks like, yeah, these ducks are going to be able to shut down that, and the archer is going to be able to shut down the expansion. That's pretty nice. And at this point, yeah, like, DanWarior is starting to fortify a little bit, and then, yeah, like these, yeah, he's losing the expansion. He should really try to make... He should have made a turret earlier there to secure this expansion. Yeah. So that's the thing. If you want to run down the rogues, it takes quite a bit because ducks are kind of slow. Yeah. And then the question is, if you're facing rogues, do you want to go for a more expensive unit? Like, yeah, in this situation, archers are kind of slow, so they're going to struggle to run down the rogues. And yeah, stuff like that. Here come the first snitches. Let's see if they hit anything. Not really. Just killing a lone duck. Yeah, so at this point you're pretty even. You're trying to like, yeah, you're trying to raid the map and control the map at several places at once. It can be good. And the question about using boys, it's questionable in my opinion. Like, the boys can dodge rogue shots, but in the end they're probably gonna get hit by the boys. Meanwhile, like you can see here that rogues, they can't run down a boy. If they're chasing the boy is gonna be able to hit them with their retreat advantage. Yeah. So you can see here this rogue trying to run down this boy. Yeah, it's not gonna be able to like run it down, because yeah, when the boy is moving away, the missiles won't be able to hit. Like the boy can basically outrun the missiles, basically, when it's moving away. And when the rogues are going into the boy shots, yeah, the boy can actually match these rogues' positions pretty well. I mean, the range of them. So at this point, like, you don't want to lose boys. They're kind of expensive units, really. Like, a rogue is just 120 metal, while a boy is more than twice as expensive, and it's also slower. So you probably want to be more careful with how you use these boys. Like, an example is to use retreat zones. Oh, and that... and here comes the first Felon. And that also changes the pace quite a bit, because now you can't really outrange the Felon. The Felon kind of matches the range of that. With 430 range versus... yeah, 450 range. Yeah, can't really outrange the Felon a lot. Maybe in retreat you can outrange the Felon, but otherwise no. And this looks like it might be a decent snitch, yeah. So at this point you kind of take map control, but you have also let the enemy get this stinger up here. And this expansion is also getting harassed. So yeah, and you can see here again, like, the rogues can chase down the boys. So one tip could be, when you're facing rogues, is to set your boys to retreat at 30 or 60% health. And if you set the retreat zone up here and the retreat zone up here, yeah, they're gonna retreat automatically after taking some damage against rogues. And that means they're staying alive, they're retreating from the enemy, and they're not gonna get hit. Like here you have a low, for just 45 health, and you're trying to change down the rogues. That's just this recipe for disaster. Like that died to not even a direct hit, it's just a close hit and it dies. And then you have no archers in proximity or ducks to like try to keep these boys safe. So yeah, it looks like you're spreading out a bit thin here. If we look at the army value here, yeah, you just were ahead, but now you lost quite a bit of the army. And here comes a Fallon. And that's the thing, the Fallon, it has a bit of shield shard, but once the shield shard is drained, yeah, you're gonna be able to like slow it or kill it. But now you're getting outmassed in this position, because that's also a problem that you have to face, because so many of the Amphbot units are so slow, like 51 speed, that's much slower than Rogue's 58. So that's something you have to like, you have to think about how you're pushing out the map. Like you're just a little bit faster than the shield ball here. Like the thugs can match the speed of the boy, but the Fallon just falls behind a little, but not much. And here you sacrifice a few units. And a Grizzly, if you can get away with it, it's a decent counter to shield balls. Like you see, you're being able to drain the shields, and this shield ball, yeah, it can't really contend against this Grizzly. And now the shield ball is low, so, but you don't really have units to run down the shield ball. You can try, maybe. That's not enough units, so yeah. Maybe if you were more on point, you could try to make the Grizzly chase the shield wall, because when the shield wall is drained, yeah, it's not going to do a lot of damage in return when it Felons, because you're going to be able to keep pass with the Felons with your Grizzlies. So if your Grizzly had been following more closely, you might have been able to finish off this shield wall. That's a thing you have to consider very well when you're facing a shield ball. Like the Grizzly has a lot of HP, so yeah, losing some is fine if you just keep it, if you have awareness of what kind of units the enemy have, so they don't have a like 30 radius just waiting and coming in and killing the Grizzly. But yeah, right now he doesn't have anything fast. He just has like 10 bandits spread out on the field, so he doesn't have anything to really contend with your Grizzly. Like a decent counter against a Grizzly is making some Racketeers. But then again, if you're making a Grizzly, it goes and kills some stuff, and you bring out some Racketeers. You need something to keep track of the Grizzly, and if it disappears, yeah, it's gonna be not be disarmed by the Racketeer again. It's a disarming artillery. So yeah, it's not easy to counter a Racketeer, like a Grizzly with Racketeers either. But yeah, you lost the map control in that exchange, since you lost quite a bit of armor there. Yeah, and you're falling behind in like economy and total value. And here you need to be on the ball. Like you can kill. That's the thing as well. You can like kill lone stingers easily without losing much health on the Grizzly. And now this shield ball should be dead now. Like it's in a bad position. It's in between your commander and it's completely drained. So, and the Grizzly should be able to hunt it down. So yeah. And at this point you might not want to use fight command, you might just want to send it in along with other units, maybe. It's something to consider. Yeah, this commander is a little bit weak. Still, by running in a few units one by one like this, you're losing units that you don't really need to use. Like a Grizzly and a few boys, that's pretty good. Oh, and here comes the air switch. That's what DanWarior has been using his economy advantage for. And you can see he just barely kills his Grizzly. Yeah, the third turning point happened a bit before that, I'd say. And at what point, what do you do when you don't have an ear? You have to like and try to keep your commander safe. You have to like guard the commander with all your archers or something if you want to try to keep it alive against like incoming bombers. But arguably it's too late here. And you don't have any nearby ducks or archers to snipe the incoming bombers, so you lose the commander, yeah. Like, that's a decent thing you can do if you don't have any anti-air. Oh, and it looks like, yeah, boys are pretty good at commander. If you catch them and slow them down, yeah, you can easily kill a commander like that. But it's a little bit too late right now. And you say good game, and yeah, I guess at this point, yeah, it's pretty much over. So, when did it all go wrong? You can see here that you were a bit ahead on metal produce as well. So yeah, you were doing pretty well economy-wise. But then something happened here. I think it's when you lost so much, you start losing your army like piecemeal. I'd say you were basically spread out too thin at that point. Like you can see here, the army value started dipping. You had a bigger army, and yeah, I think you were too spread out on the map really. Like you were here, you had some lone boys here and boys here, and then your units got surrounded here. Like you got a lot of boys here that just die without doing much damage in return. So I'd say you overextended a bit there. Archers, are they good in this matchup? I'd say they're decent. Like they're more reliable against snitches, like you saw DanWarior use. And yeah. But yeah, you really gotta be careful against rogues. A tip is that, yeah, you want to be able to retreat when before your boys dies. Like if you defend this position, for example, one thing to also keep in mind is that you get some extra range from using boys if you're fighting uphill. So for example, if you had been able to like secure this position, you lost your con here, but you could have built a lotus turret or two in time. And then if you get a boy up here, you will have some downhill range advantage, which is pretty good for these boys. They can probably hold off on their own against rogues in this position. And if you also set them to automatically retreat when they're getting low on health, yeah, they can retreat back here. And if you have a con here to repair on something, that's pretty good. Would I recommend Lob's bulkhead in this matchup? Not really. Like the bulkhead, it has a lot of range, so technically it outranges the rogue, but it can't move. I mean, and if the rogues do the same thing that you can do with the boys, which when you retreat them automatically when they're low on health, the rogues will keep dancing and they will get hit once in a while, but then they will retreat when they're like low on health, and you haven't like. There's no way to like follow up if you just have a lot of bulkheads. So yeah, like your trades with the bandits with ducks, it's pretty evenly. You can also stay on like pure duck and then use more limpets. Like if you can outmaneuver the shield bots and the shield ball, and then you can strike all at once with like archers or bandits and limpets as well at the same time. That's a thing you can do as well. So I wouldn't say you can't do anything against rogue. I'd say if you spread out too much with just lone boys, it's hard to do anything with just boys and archers. You had a lot of boys and archers. Boys, yeah. And a grizzly is, of course, a good choice. Even if the enemy gets racketeers, it's hard to always keep track, keep the grizzly disarmed all the time. So it's gonna recharge, and then you get like 2 grizzlies, 3 grizzlies. Yeah, it's really hard to keep that many grizzlies charge disarmed all the time. So yeah, you can definitely go like pure grizzly against shield bot, and it's hard for them to do much. Like you just need a few archers or limpets to keep them safe. Yeah, and yeah, you can go pure into grizzlies. But on the other hand, if you're losing ground, yeah, maybe grizzly is not the right choice. So it depends on the situation. Yeah, basically the turning point was when you spread out too thin and let the boys get surrounded and pounded by the rogues without retreating and repairing them, and then the bandits came and followed it up basically. And also letting the shield bot player have a forward position like this, it's not too good. Like you can break it pretty easily with boys. You sacrifice 1 or 2 boys, you slow the stinger, and then you can probably finish off destroy this position. And if the commander is nearby with little support, yeah, if you get the commander slow with the boys as well, yeah, it's gonna struggle. Or if you get the grizzly, you just shoot down the outer rim turrets first, outer units here, without taking damage from the stinger, and then you just kill the stinger in 2 volleys. And yeah, it's hard for the shield players to do much if you have like similar amount of units. And yeah, I say there's a lot of things you can do against shield bots really as bots. I think it's a balanced matchup. Maybe it's even like if you get a lot of grizzlies up, the shield bot player is probably going to have to switch to something else. But the first grizzlies can probably be handled like by just overrunning it with rogues or disarming it with racketeers. And if you don't have enough, like if you don't have a few limpets or ducks or archers around, maybe even they can be able to surround the bandits. But yeah, you can keep up with bandits with your ducks. So yeah, that's my analysis. Good luck and have fun.